As a student that is studying abroad, I had been in China for 16 years. The reason why I came to America is to learn different culture of a different country and to have a better education. Today I'm going to talk about my comparison of education between the USA and China. 40 years ago, China made a false prediction. At that time, in 1979, the communication of education between the USA and China had just started. Two delegations were sent by the two countries to learn about different ways of education. After the Chinese delegation came back, they made a statement that the American students were conceited, and even a second-grade student talked about invention. They concentrated on music, sports and art, and were weaker in math and science. Then Chinese delegation said the education of America was feeble. They predicted that 20 years later, the education of China could be better than America. And then, after Americans visited some schools in China, they thought that Chinese primary school students like to put their hands up to their desks in front of the chest, and unless they raise their right hand to answer teacher's questions. The kids that studied at kindergartens always put their hands back to their backs, except during recess. Chinese students seemed to like getting up early. People could see the students everywhere on streets before 7 in the morning. People call the student that has the highest score in the test as the best student. And in the end of the term, the best students could get certificates that other students didn't have. Therefore, American delegation got a result that Chinese students were the most hardworking students since their grades were better than any other countries. So they predicted that 20 years later, Chinese technology could exceed the USA. Then we can see that Americans saw the good qualities of Chinese education, but Chinese were looking for their weakness. However, both of the predictions were wrong. Now it is 40 years later. Americans have educated many Nobel laureates, but what about China? Some data shows that the academic level of a Chinese high school student is much higher than an American student. However, after both finish the university education, the American student has more achievement. So, how is that happening? There are a lot of differences in the method of teaching between these two countries. For example, if they both have a period of class to talk about the story Cinderella, and the questions that teachers ask will be quite different. The American teacher will ask questions about the content, characters, and some events, such as, if you are Cinderella's stepmother, will you stop Cinderella to go to the dance of the prince? And then the students will discuss intensely, and they may get a result that, yes, we will, because we like our own children the most, and we want one of our children to be the princess. Hence, they could learn from the discussion that the stepmother was not absolutely evil. She just couldn't treat others as her own children. At the end of the class, some students may ask that why the crystal shoes didn't change back after the 12 o'clock. And then the teachers will smile and encourage them that even this kind of famous author could have a mistake, so mistakes are not fearful. I believe that few years later, you guys will be better than the author. So, this is an American class. So now let's see a Chinese class. It will be like at the beginning of the class, the teacher will ask who the author is and his life. And then the Chinese students will be asked to separate the story into several parts and summarize each part of the story. After that, they would discuss one specific word, why the author used this word, and why you cannot change it to another word. And so this is it. This is what Chinese classes. And also in a Chinese reading test, there are short answer questions about the passage that we're giving. And each question has a standard answer. However, different people have a different thought of the passage, so they all have different answers to the questions. Chinese tests are like letting the students lose their creativity. Another example is in math class in China. Like I learned the formulas, remembered them, and did a number of questions using one formula to develop this memorization. In the USA, the class is doing a different thing. With the same formula, teacher here helped me to prove this formula and gave me the way to create it. It's easy to see that why America has more scientists. It is because of the different ways that teachers educate their students. American teachers help their students become scientists, managers, and confident people. Chinese education just let the children become hardworking and study machines. I want to say that China should have less focus on academic education, but be more concentrated on the education of hobbies and creativity. Okay, thank you.